Gotta turn that thing off first. We're back.
Yeah.
Hello.
For episode, which number?
Episode 8 of What Katy Draws.
Can't believe
Good
it
job.
already.
Getting there, yeah. And you might say, what's Fish doing here? Well, I mean, obviously, what Fish is doing here is watching Katy draw more of Caw.
Absolutely. I'm always down for that. Anytime.
Because why the hell not?
Somebody has a podcast. Of course I'm on it.
Yeah.
That's my life right now.
The unofficial third host, like we only officially, it's you're not on there not every week, but like also D and Katy are on there a lot too. So you know, we got like 2 official hosts and then 3 unofficial hosts. It's a thing.
It's a good group of folks.
Yeah,
we have fun. Yeah. So, you want to just jump on into it?
Yeah, well, I thought I'd still carry on working on Core because, of course, Fish has got the Kickstarter live still at the moment.
Yes, I do.
How many more days does that have?
Let me see. I'm confused. 9 days. I'm confused because, like, I just scheduled the next several days worth of posts so I could do something else other than make posts all day. And so I went ahead and scheduled them in advance. So I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Was it 9 days? Was it 3 days? Was it 2 days? Because I've been putting it in all these descriptions for all these posts.
Always fun. All right. Did I
Yeah,
get
so
that
how's
right?
this,
your
Kickstarter going?
Yeah, I just put your Kickstarter link down in the ticker there. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
GoMrFish.com. Pretty straightforward there.
Mm-hmm.
I keep bonking the little lever on your chair that helps you lean back. Keep knocking it today. Like that's like the 3rd time I've had to unlock my chair. I gotta be able to lean
See,
back.
my chair upstairs. My chair upstairs, I don't dare touch any of the levers because it'll just collapse. It's that old. It's like, if I lean backwards, it kind of moves without me actually doing anything. So yeah, one of these days it's just going to collapse.
I used to have a stool over here, which was fun because I could wheel around a little bit, and I found out if I sat here for like more than an hour or so, it made my butt hurt. So I went back to a real chair, and then Jeffrey got me this very nice. It's very comfortable. It's got a nice wide bottom for my giant ass.
Yeah, I am just a giant all over. But before I got big, and so like finding a chair big enough for me, finding a chair that goes up tall enough for me to be able to sit in comfortably with my legs, being able to fit me, all that stuff, being able to handle the weight. This sucker right here cost a pretty penny, and it is the most comfortable thing. It turned out to be a gaming chair. I tried all kinds of office chairs. This was the most comfortable thing I could find in. I still make ungodly noises when I get out of it at the end of one of these podcasts. Like, you don't want to hear the screams I make when I get out of it at the end of the time.
I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I unfortunately
getting old,
can't
man,
stream
and then
from
everything
upstairs.
locks up.
Yeah. Oh, don't talk to me about that. I had to cut the grass with a scythe for the first time in about a year. Yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. And I was doing it for about an hour, which is like, full body workout, swinging through your torso. I feel like I've been hit by a bus today.
Oh, God.
It's fun.
Yeah, and out of nowhere, like if you don't do that all the time, oh my God, that's gotta hurt.
No.
That is the most awesome backup for a lawnmower I've ever seen in my life. Like, there's no way I could do that here because it's just way too much area in our yard. But oh my God, that is so cool.
It does,
Well,
like,
we have
it's
got
like
quite
the
a
way
lot of
that
areas.
it's shaped,
Sometimes
like
it takes
you
me
do
a
get
couple of days.
good swinging on it there. Yeah, pretty nice.
Yeah, unfortunately it's a bit bent at the end because I hit a rock, and yeah, I need to find
What'd you
someone
do
to
that
straighten
for?
it out again. But there's just
Alright.
hidden rocks everywhere. This is Scotland; everything's covered in rocks. Right, so
Okay.
should we put the screen up for the
Certainly.
clip? I can't remember how to do that now. Yeah.
There, I did it for you.
Ah, there we are.
Awesome.
So I've been sort of contemplating it a bit. I was thinking, like, to make it a bit more dynamic, I could maybe make his hair a bit windswept. well, feathers, hair, make it sort of like a bit more, as you know, the old Conan the Barbarian things.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say Cohen the Barbarian. That's a Terry Pratchett version, but it's like with the head like sweeping to one side and stuff.
That would be cool.
Cohen the Barbarian, part of the Silver Horde. Yeah, and I also thought I could maybe try and put some of these little alien guys at the front, like silhouettes. I don't know how it'll work. So I have actually expanded the canvas size, which is so easy to do on Clip because you just drag it and it makes it, instead of having to try and figure out that, you know, it's so good. So what am I doing? I have not named any of these layers, so I don't know what that one is. What does that do? Nothing, apparently.
I'm telling you, coloring, it's easy. Coloring the layers is so easy.
Far too much organization. Yeah, that seems like too much organization for me.
I can dig
mean
it.
Well, but then, right, what brush is this? This is an airbrush. I changed my brushes last week, so I got really confused that they're not doing what I told them to do. Right, okay, so we could kind of, I'm just going to see if it'll work. If not, I might just shrink it back down to what it was, but like thinking of sort of like a silhouette-y style thing going on. Maybe I don't know if it would work, because, you know, they're kind of looking in different directions and stuff. Maybe there'd be ones in the background, perhaps. I'm not quite sure, but it would make it, if you had it like quite dark. This is just me mucking about really at the moment. So you could get it like, it would be silhouetted, maybe, just seeing if it would work. I tend to do quite a lot more of this than people probably expect. It's just really loosely doing things that look kind of crappy, and then figuring it out later on. So they'd have their eyes on the side, wouldn't they? So, yeah, because the eyes kind of like, they'd be able to see backwards and forwards, could they?
Yeah, they like a
with them
bird's
being on the side like that.
Kind of field of vision, like, you know, it crosses in the middle out of the ways, and then they can see just about 360. Yeah.
Oh, that's.
I can't
cool.
make anything easy. Like, they've all got to be complicated.
Now, you said that, you know, you made Virgil really complicated to draw, but I'm looking at him as a wildlife artist. Like, he doesn't look all that complicated to me.
No, and
famous last words.
As I've gone, I've kind of tweaked his geometry as I've gone along to make it easier to draw. And, you know, because like actual horny toads, their heads are such weird shapes, and you know, go in such weird directions that I was looking at him as reference when I drew him, but my very first version of Virgil was more a cartoon of a horny toad than it was an actual horny toad, and I've kind of been evolving it from there to get to where I want, and changing him a little bit as it goes to make him easier to draw and mostly easier for people to read, for people to look at it and be like, okay, that's who he is, that's where he's looking, that's what I'm seeing on his head. And something I think about a lot more now is readability for, you know, the fans reading the books. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Do you think this works, or maybe not quite?
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, and like I was thinking, if he was on kind of a ridge, you could even put like a couple behind him and only have to do like shoulders up or something, like they're all coming up the ridge around him. And it would be a way to get more in and still let him be highest in the thing and not have to draw a whole bunch of hands and feet and all that stuff.
Yeah, so something like these guys coming up here. Just, you know, I'm just blocking them in just now, but see, that kind of makes sense. And if I go onto the right layer for the background, if I did it as that sort of thing, what sort of landscape would he be in? the plants and animals and stuff.
Throughout the stories, he's going to be all over the place, but his homeworld is almost all city. Like, the mega cities on his homeworld go as far as the eye can see in every direction. There are some places on his world that are like open sky and open plains and stuff in a couple of places, and there's some oceans and desert and mountains, but so much of the world is covered in buildings and these really tall towers with these really thin spires reaching into the sky and these long extended, like, almost, I hate to say egg-shaped, but like these long extended pods on them for like the rooms and things, because it's an aerial species everywhere. They've built everything really tall, and you're not stuck to just what can you walk to. It's everything goes up high.
That could be really cool to have like spires in the background. I don't like the canvas size at the moment. It doesn't fit right to me, so I'm going to go upwards, I think, because then it kind of gives you
really
a bit more
cool
space
that you can just drag that now. That is awesome.
I know, it's such a good feature, and I'm like, wait, you can do this on clip. So, I only found out about it recently, because of course on Photoshop you had to kind of work out how many inches and centimeters or pixels.
I just changed one recently, and I was still typing in like, okay, I guess it would be this many more pixels. Let's see how that looks, because I didn't realize I could just drag it and stretch it now that I've got the upgrade.
Oh, I think you could do this before the upgrade as well, but it took me a while to actually figure out that you could do that.
Man! Katy out here hurting my feelings. I've been out here doing it the stupid way. Oh, man.
But the thing is, I learned that you could like select all the colors of like a certain color from you. I still haven't figured out how you do it, but wait, am I on the wrong? I'm on the wrong layer. Right, hang on a second. What am I doing? Right, this. Yeah, it's fine. I can just kind of go like this, right?
Oh yeah, that select color gamut is amazing. I love it. And that's what I did with my painted cover. I went in, like, I penciled everything out roughly, and then I went in and just drew blocks of very bright colors, like, this is this mountain, this is this mountain, this is this mountain, this is Kaw's flesh, this is his hair, this is his, the golden bands on his waist and his arms, and just blocked everything out like that. And then I went to another layer and painted the whole background, and then just kept using that as my reference layer. Select color gamut, hit on his skin, it's all selected, and then I could just paint in that area and know I wasn't going to go out of it. And that made it so easy. It's kind of hard to call it a painting, but man, it came out great quick.
Oh, well, I mean, a lot of painting is just about using the tools that you've got, really. The amount of brushes that you see artists using where they've made their own brushes and stuff. Right. I kind of like how this looks now. I'm gonna... There wasn't an example of the towers, was there, in...
there are some in the backgrounds. Let me see. I think I have something I can send you. Let me look.
Okay, I don't want to kill my internet by loading that up again.
Yeah, so, let me look. I think I've got something from my VTube rig that I was working on for the backgrounds, if I can find it. That has just some buildings on it.
They are quite fun to draw, these guys. Pre-warning for anyone who's watching, there may be an explosion of dog barking at some point. My dad is not home yet. And,
oh, goodness.
Hazel likes the sound of her own voice, so you might hear them barking, but... Why are you saving so much? This is a bit odd. It doesn't normally save quite as often as this. You see, I mean, I'm not complaining that it is saving my stuff because it has, saved my Earth a few times.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it does make my computer lag quite a lot. So, yeah, I mean, especially as I don't know. Sometimes since the new update, it seems to crash every so often. But I suppose it could be the stuff that they haven't ironed out the things in yet. So, hey, that's a point, Fish. Has anyone actually done fan art of your alien dudes before, or has it just been caught?
No, it has just been caught. But admittedly, when they started, and I started asking for people that were willing to do it, all I had was that reference image that you're working off of at the top was the most detailed thing I had at the time, because I was in the process of doing the book. And which is one of the drawbacks to working as fast as I do.
Yeah.
Now let me dig back to setting menus.
Why is it saving again? It seems to be saving an awful lot at the moment.
Okay, I'm sending you an image of the arena that he lived in, which kind of shows you how a lot of things are built tall, but in the background behind some clouds, you can see a hint of the towers, and I'm going to try and grab another image for you that has a little more detail if I can find it. Actually, you know what? There's 3 people on this show.
Pretty cool.
I'm going to go grab my sketchbook out of the other room. I'll be right back. I apologize.
I like those buildings. That would be quite cool to actually have as a background. So, this may end up being on a different... what is that layer? I can't figure out what that layer is for, so I might just draw on that one. Because I don't think... Wait. Oh, it might be a skin texture layer. I'll leave it for now. I really need to start labeling these layers because I have no idea what that one is.
Yeah, when it gets that many, then it's always good to have a little bit. It's like sort of labeling system, like at least group them up into which ones are skin and which ones are hair. That's what I like to group them by colors, but I don't know what the best way to do it is. I'm not that good at drawing, so I don't know what the best way to do it is.
I think you're better than you think you are.
Well, maybe. I guess I'm realistic about it. So I don't think that I suck at it. I mean, compared to you guys, I do. But
everyone has to start somewhere.
I can draw stuff, and y'all know what it's supposed to be. So that's good, because it's an important skill to have if you're going to be a drawing person. But making stuff that looks like painterly and semi-realistic, never. I can't do that as quickly as I can make cartoony stuff. And
cartoony's easy. I mean, especially when that's what you've been practicing. Oh.
Yes, exactly. I've been always drawing line art before I even knew what it was called. I was a line art person, and always neglected the colors. So colors are really hard for me.
Oh, man.
It's over here going, I think that line art's really hard. And colors are easy.
It is hard. I don't know how you do it. It's like, if I try and do line art, it takes me about a week to do what Fish does in about 10 minutes.
So when your dad started teaching you art, how did he teach you? Did he teach you laying down blobs of color and then making them into your... how did you learn? Because nobody taught me. I just figured it out on my own, which is... maybe why I'm not as good as I could be. But
there is a story behind this.
Story time.
So basically, there's a painting of there's a drawing, should I say, a pencil drawing of excuse me, I'm just gonna brush my nose. European eagle owl on my wall that my dad drew, and it's the one that he taught me how to draw with. And he sat up and he showed, because my dad's quite a good artist as well. He doesn't do it anymore, but he is pretty good at drawing. So he stayed up one night, and he's like, "This." He found a picture of one of the birds. He's like, "This is how you draw the eyes," and then he's like, "This is how you draw the beak, and this is how you draw the feathers." And then I was kind of, I was just watching him. I was like 6 or something, so I just sat there watching him drawing it, and then I eventually had to go to bed. And the story goes that my dad drank a lot of whiskey and finished the entire thing in one night. Looked at it and thought, "That's kind of finished now," and then threw it in the bin because that's what he does. So. My mum, there was nothing else in the bin, so my mum got it out the bin and took it to the framers and got it framed, and then, without him knowing, and then she put it into a local. It was a chrysanthemum show. It was a flower show, but it had like the craft section, like knitting and miniature gardens, that sort of thing. And she put it into the art section, and he won first prize. And it's like, wait, what? I threw it out.
Nice.
Yeah,
so, we still have it on the wall somewhere.
That's what gets me, and that's why I quit doing a lot of sculpture locally, is like all the competitions and stuff, like at the state fair or whatever, that we could put artwork in. There's 1,000 different, there's 1,000 different levels that you can put drawings and paintings at, and there's pencil, and there's charcoal, and there's colored pencil, and there's marker, and they're all watercolors, all this stuff. And then there is sculpture. And it gets tacked between quilting and pickle making when it comes to like where it's displayed, and it doesn't get the same kind of respect that other stuff does. And like, this was my first sculpture of a bird that I did for my mom, because she loved to collect those little porcelain birds, and him's Dusty. Yeah. But so for Christmas one year, I decided to sculpt stuff for everybody. And I sculpted her this little white-breasted nuthatch, and I love him. Lovely. I did a chickadee that is just like almost perfect, and it was tucked between the pickles. And I'm like, that just felt disrespectful. He deserved more than that. Yeah,
that's not so great. So,
and sculpture takes up a lot more room than drawings do.
I started out as a kid. I did a lot of art, and I'm not gonna say why I stopped doing it, because it's not appropriate for a show that we're gonna put on the internet. But I've told Katy. Katy knows. It's sad. It's not it's not NSFW or anything, but it's just sad. and I didn't start.
That's what
drawing
you say
again.
now. Yeah, it's amazing how many people get so screwed up by people who are like, they're just not supported, and it's
and there's nobody around when I was growing up. Nobody did anything arty at all either, so I didn't have anybody to ask for guidance. My grandma was a crochet and sewist, and that's why I know how to sew, because I took an interest in that. She tried real hard to get me to crochet, but to this day, I can do you one long single chain if you need that, but if you want like a whole like a completed hat or something. It's the counting
that I have a trouble with. Yeah. It's just to keep. I think the trouble with the ADHD brain, it's the counting and trying to remember where you are. That's why I don't knit, because people are like, "Oh, what do you do with the wool that you spin?" I'm like, nothing.
Sell it to people who'll do stuff with
it.
Anything with it.
It goes in a bucket with all of the other yarn that I've made.
And then I look at it,
I sell
and
it
I wipe dog hair off of it occasionally.
I do sell it occasionally at like wool festivals and stuff. But
people like my wife buy it, and then they put it in different totes, and they put it in the shed, and they store it, and they look at it. But it is not to be knit with. It is not that type of wool. No.
Using wool and buying wool are two entirely separate hobbies, I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Buying any craft item and actually making stuff with it are two totally separate hobbies. Like, it's not just the yarn, it's everything.
I had to stop myself from buying things to like craft into gaming terrain and things like the Tower Grayskull dice tower I did. Like, I've made so many things like this for my role-playing games, and like, I haven't made, this is the first thing I've made in years. And because I've just been so busy working, I don't really have time to do it, and I haven't had time to run mini games. And so I don't have time anymore to make something new for each game like I used to. But the buying the materials continued for years after the crafting stopped. And still, every time I go into Dollar Tree, I'm like, oh, that would make an awesome this, and that would be cool for this. And I have to stop myself because I'm not going to build it.
It's the ADHD thing. It's like oh, pretty. I will have a use for this, and it's like narrator voice. She never had a use for this.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of stuff laying around that I know that I should throw it out because I'm never going to use it, but the potential is always there, and so I just I can't bring myself to throw a lot of it away.
Mm-hmm.
I think the potential is the problem.
Cool boxes and any weird shaped item.
That's why I have so much weird stuff collected, because between being an artist and a crafter and a carpenter and all these other things, I'm like, 25 feet of coax cable. I should hold on to that because I'm going to need that for something at some point. So I put it away somewhere. And then when I actually do need coax cable 5 years later, I can't find it. So I got to go buy 30 more feet of it. And now I've got like a 15-foot chunk left. And I'm like, I'll put this away because I'm going to need it later, but I won't know where it is either.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's why I have
same shit.
Set of Venetian blinds in the broken Venetian blinds in the cupboard because they make really good spaces for when you're weaving, but I haven't woven anything in years. So it's the potential you might need it, so
yeah, absolutely. I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
God, it's so cool to watch somebody else making these weird creatures that, up until a month ago were only in my head. That is just nuts.
I'm still
So how's this
wigging out that you turned it in from an idea into a book in less than 6 weeks. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Nobody else can do it that fast.
That tends to be the way I do things. I had the idea for Green Zone for a long time and was telling everybody I talked to about it, and my son was like, eventually somebody else is going to do this book, and you're going to be mad because you've told everybody at every con we've gone to about it. And I was like, ooh, you're right. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I had some time off that was paid because I got my book done. I was planning on this client's book taking a month and a half, and I got it done in 12 days because I started hiring my flatter, and she sped me up even more than I normally was. And so I was like, what do I do? Do I start looking for another job? And my wife was like, no, you take that money and you pay yourself to do one of your own books. Get on it. And I was like, oh, dang. Okay. All right. Well, here's Green Zone.
I need someone to
partner on your side is so valuable. It is so precious, so valuable. And I clearly get to see the difference now between having a good partner on your side and what I had most of my life. And it's amazing.
It awful, to be fair.
It wasn't great. It was not. No. But the creative life, the creative sparks and stories and ideas are so ethereal and ephemeral, and just a little wisp of nothingness when they start. It's so easy to stamp that out with negativity and anger and ugliness. And when you get a spark of an idea and it's like, oh, what if I, and then the only person that really matters in your life is like, no, that's stupid, give it up. Okay, maybe I should. It sucks.
It's amazing how much of a difference it makes that if the person whose opinion matters to you most doesn't actually support you, it just it's so soul destroying.
Yeah, it is.
I've had for most of my life had the people that tell you that you shouldn't or can't, or that your stuff sucks, or that it's stupid, and now I've been so Jeff and I've been dating for we've been together 8 or 9 years now. We've been together for a while. And
I remember when you met him.
I know, it's
Isn't
fucked
that
up,
long?
right? Like, how
It
the
can't
hell?
be that long because that makes me old.
Yeah, how the hell it was 8 years ago?
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway, he has never, he's never said anything bad about the stuff that I do, and it started out with him just having that, you know, that interest that you have in the stuff that your significant other does, and then it turned into like he would admire the completed things that I would make, and then he started to watch. He would like watch over. He kind of weirds me out, to be honest. Watches over my shoulder if I'm drawing, or like if I'm doing something. He'll sometimes it'll catch his eye and he'll start watching over my shoulder. And
Watch
it's
from
like
the side,
he's gone...
Jeff, not from behind. It's creepy.
Yeah, and he's just like, it's just so cool watching you do it, and like he's just like full on. I don't think anybody. Okay, maybe Lori is a bigger fan of my stuff than Jeff is, but that's only because Lori's known me longer, I think. Because Jeff is a pretty big fucking fan of mine, and I'm just like, I to this day I get mad at him sometimes because I'm like, you're fucking with me, right? And it's because I'm just so used to everybody else being shitty about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like even when I'll show I wasn't gonna even show anybody the little claw chibi that I made, and I was like, and then I showed it to you guys, and you're both like, it looks so good, and I was like, yeah, you say that because you don't want me to feel sad. And so, and like, even though I'm like, the most of my brain's like, no, they wouldn't say that if they thought it was bad. Like, Katy literally always gives you instruction if there's a critique to be made that's not, like, you always do that. If you see something that needs fixing that I could do better on, you always say so. And she's not shitty about it, just
like,
so we're clear.
No.
We have the sort of relationship where Katy will tell me that stuff and I will not be offended because that's our friendship.
Yeah,
but
it's like I make sure that she wants critiques first. It's like, you know.
Yeah, and
that's important.
Like,
it's
yeah,
not like how I was
is.
taught how to draw.
Yeah,
because
but...
when I was little, that my dad was like, "Oh, that needs to be changing and that needs to be changed." It's like, yeah. So I got really good at like noticing everything that was wrong, but
yeah.
Then I was like, oh, that you know, that's crap because
and then
like,
you don't
this is wrong,
appreciate
this is wrong.
the things that are right.
Yeah, but like I was saying that to people, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, because I can see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have noticed that about you. You will point out all the flaws in a piece that you finished to the end of time, but will you ever point out anything that's great about it? No, we have to do that for you because you won't do it.
Mm-hmm. Which it's tough, and like I'm an encourager by nature, and I want to be like, "Oh wow, you did such a good job," and I love it. And, you know, and encourage people to keep going and keep trying and keep learning and growing, because it's so easy to get that joy stamped out of you and give it up and stop. And like, yeah. I've seen people like that completely gave up drawing, and then somebody like, there was this kid at church that had completely given it up because he could see the problems, but he didn't know how to get from here to where he wanted to be. And everybody around him was just like, "Oh, this is so great." And, you know, because for a 9-year-old, it was great, but he could see that it wasn't as good as he wanted it to be, and he didn't know how to get there. Everybody's telling him it's great, and, you know, he could tell it's not 100% true. It is great for a 9-year-old, but, and his brother was like, "Could you help him?" And so we started talking, and he started showing me some of his stuff, and I absolutely encouraged him, but also, like, figured out loving ways to be like, you know, this is really good. And if you did X, Y, and Z, and if you like look at it in a mirror, some of the things will jump out that are, you know, might be a hair off and things like that. And all of a sudden his artwork jumped exponentially over the next like 3 years. And then he was doing charcoal portraits that I couldn't compete with. And
so cool.
That is the most awesome thing.
And you know what? That's what I would have loved to have as a kid. I had that. I had just had people telling me, "Oh, this looks so good," and nobody ever to tell me, like, when if I would see that something was wrong and I know it's wrong, but I couldn't figure it out, and then I try to fix it and I can't fix it because I don't like. If I would have had just somebody to tell me, hold your paper up to the light and look at it in the reverse, and then you will see what's wrong with it, and then you can correct it easier. And like if I that one tip alone would have been so helpful to me. And that kind of generalized, it's not toxic, but it's also not helpful when people are just like, oh, it's really good, and nobody gives you any kind of
It's
honest,
almost
it's very
toxic positivity.
it's as bad as it's as bad as telling the kids, if the kids keep hearing it's great over and over and over again and never hear any suggestions about how to make it better, it's almost as bad as telling them that it's garbage to their face.
Yeah,
you know? That's why my personal. Sorry, keep on.
Yeah. No, I've had problems with people, like, it can be very difficult, especially if the person's quite sensitive about it. It's like, no, I'm not pointing this out to actually ridicule you, because I sometimes think, because I can draw the way that I can, it's quite intimidating for some people. It's like, if I point out things, it's like, I'm not telling you that it's crap. I'm telling you it from a perspective of, I know how you could make this better, but it doesn't mean that it's bad now. It still can be. You can still be really good, but it could.
Far too intimidated to show Katy my work for like 3 or 4 years of us knowing each other, at least. Far too intimidated.
I can imagine.
She just showed me some of her
not
custom
because
ponies.
she's intimidating. It's like all that negative self-talk, and that's the same thing. Like Katie's running into there. I run into it all the time, where I'm like, oh man, that's really cool, and they're like, no, it sucks, and they're like comparing their 2 years of practice against my 45 years of practice. And like, oh, I'm never going to be as good as you, blah, blah. It's like, dude, I didn't get here overnight. I did stuff that didn't look anywhere near this good, when I was younger. And
you still make the mistakes, but you know how to correct them now. That's the...
absolutely.
Anybody can be good at it if you want it bad enough. Like, you can get good at it. It's not a matter, like, it's a learnable, drawing art in general is a learnable skill, just like anything else. There are certain natural talents and inclinations that people have that others don't, but that doesn't mean that those people who don't can't be good artists.
Oh, no. Like, one of the best, most photorealistic artists I know lives in Arkansas, and he cannot imagine things in his head. He is one of those people that, like, when you say apple, he thinks the word apple. He cannot picture even a cartoon apple in his head, much less a realistic one where I can see the apple, I can change the species and the size and move it around in 3 dimensions in my imagination. He can't see it at all. But if you give him an apple, he can draw it perfectly.
What's the name of it?
Blows my mind.
It's aphantasia or something. Now, there's different levels of it, and to a certain extent, I have it because I can't picture things clearly in my head. If I focus on the details, I'll see like the eye or the nose, but I won't see the whole thing. It's just like I have vague impressions in my mind about it, which is weird because I dream quite vividly. But it's aphantasia or something like that. It's something to do. It's quite closely related to stuff like ADHD and autism as well. But
or mine goes the other way. I can pose them like Barbies and move the whole scene around and move the camera wherever I want.
Natural talent that you're.
That is a natural talent, but that did not make me a better artist in kindergarten.
Doesn't mean that people who can't do that can't be good artists.
I only got to where I am because I picked up all these stupid little tips and tricks over the years. And, my brother taught me how to draw a dragster out of a triangle and 2 different size circles. And that blew everybody's mind in kindergarten and made me the best artist. And when everybody else learned to copy it, I scribbled behind the back wheels to make smoke. And then that made me the best artist. And I just kept adding things. And my mom was a very talented artist for any layperson out there. She made beautiful watercolor paintings towards the end of her life. She learned a lot of those like one stroke brush, like how to make flowers and things, and made all kinds of pretty things and painted cool stuff. She taught me how to draw a superhero, starting at this like weird baseball diamond home plate shape for the trunks, and then work out from there. And it was the same crappy drawing of a superhero over and over and over and over and over again. And I draw different outfits and different things. But learning different tricks over and over ended up eventually getting me to where I am now. I started copying down drawings of He-Man and Batman off the cartoons and all that kind of stuff, and the Thundercats.
I used to copy out the you know how computer games used to come with manuals.
Oh yeah.
I used to copy the drawings out of the Warcraft 2 manual, so I've still got like copies of the trolls and everything from when I was like 10, 12
Awesome.
sort of. But yeah, I was just so fascinated by them when I saw them. I really wanted to copy it, and I came across something on DeviantArt, I think it is. DeviantArt wasn't the first digital platform I had my artwork on. The first one was Elfwood, which is closed down now. But it was this woman, and I think unfortunately she's died now. But she wrote this thing about how to draw an apple, and I might be able to find it at some point again. But it was about how that you start off drawing this apple. You draw the apple every single day, and to start with, it's just like a circle with a stick coming off it. And then as you keep drawing the apple, you suddenly start to think, oh, there's blemishes in the skin. Oh, and the light hits it in that way, and it creates these shadows and stuff. And it's like, even though that, you know, if you drew the same apple every single day, you'd just get better and better and better at drawing the apple. But as you're getting better at drawing the apple, it then makes you start getting better at drawing everything else. Because your brain is
before.
Yeah, I probably sent you it. We've known each other a very long time.
It's a good essay. It makes sense.
Yeah. But because the way that your brain is like analyzing what it sees, I'm pretty convinced that learning to draw changes the way that you see things. Like when I'm going around,
100%.
I often see details and stuff that people are like, I didn't notice that. And it's like that's because I've trained myself to notice these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like going to the gym and walking on the treadmill for a half an hour, and then you creep up and up and up until you're able to walk at a brisk pace. Like, you're not just training yourself to walk on a treadmill. That's ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous to think about. So when you apply that concept to art,
and it absolutely changes the way you see things, because like when I did all traditional art, I would look at the landscape as we're driving by and be like, you know, I would use this charcoal to do those branches, and I would use this pencil to do that. And then as I started painting murals, it's like, oh, that radio brush I have would be perfect for painting those leaves, and I'd use this brush for the trunk. And now that I'm working digital, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what brush I would pick for that, and exactly how I would do those clouds. And you know, you start to think in that process because you do it so much.
Have you ever seen that thing that people was going around a while back, where it was like, you know, how normal people see colors? It's like red, blue, green sort of thing, and it's like how an artist would see colors. It's like teal and like this color and this color. And I was like, that is not how artists see that color. That artist would see it in like cadmium red or dioxazine purple or, you know, Naples yellow. They don't see it in like, you know, teal sort of. They see it in the
now I see them in the color picker on Clip Studio, and like when I'm looking at the sky or a dog or the color of the road, I suddenly start seeing like, where would this color be on the color picker, and is it in the reds or is it no, that's in the green actually. And it's crazy.
Oh man, those colors piss me off.
The color pickers are amazing for actually training you how to see color as well, because sometimes what you think is like, you'll think, oh, that's like a really bright color, and it'll be like just about all gray and stuff. And it's like, wow.
Well, if you look at your picture of Ka here, like his belt, his shiny, beautiful golden belt. If you grab a color on that right hand side of the belt where it's in the shadow, that's not going to come out yellow. That's not going to come out gold. That's going to go brown.
Yeah.
And it's
sometimes I'd put in like little purple highlights and stuff. And
that's all stuff that I never knew. Like when I was learning to draw. And oh my god, how nice would the internet have been when we were kids and learning to draw? Because I didn't have the fucking internet until I was like,
we didn't have YouTube tutorials and stuff. God, I love them.
Any kids
so
watching
much.
this, watch you. I mean, for reals, YouTube.
Watch them all.
Such an amazing resource.
Even if you don't think it applies, watch it, because there will be something in there that you will realize, oh my god, I could use that.
Exactly.
And
it is such a strange thing to think that
there's a lot of garbage on there too. Let's not be you know, we gotta be fair. There's a lot of trash on there, but there's a lot of really great
I'm older than the internet.
Well, I did have the
I am
internet when I was a
too.
kid, so it was. We had computers from when I was in the house that we lived in until I was 10. So from 5 till 10, we had a very, very early computer. Because I was playing Magic Carpet on it, which is, I don't know if you've ever played Magic Carpet. It is one of my
Very
favorite
old
games
game.
still. Yeah, I sent it. Sent it to Laurie, and she's like, "What is going on?" It explains nothing. It's like I was having to explain how to play it. But yeah,
you were telling me
that
about
was-
that too, and you did not give me that game. You gave me Graveyard Keeper and something else.
I could easily give you that game, but you'll probably just get just as confused as Laurie.
Confused,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, but I remember when we got it because we upgraded the computer, and the people who'd programmed the game hadn't put a limit on how fast the game went. So when we upgraded the processor, something ridiculous, it started going so
Oh my
fast.
god.
You couldn't even play it.
I had the most amazing Star Wars game where you were piloting spaceships and you could play all the different ships, and like once I got the TIE fighter unlocked, I was freaking unbeatable because they could turn so fast. And then like I even bought like a really fancy like $80 joystick that had all the controls on it. It was amazing. And then I got a new laptop and I was so excited, and I put my game in, and every time it loaded up, wham, you hit the edge of the universe and you were dead. Okay, play again. Bam, you hit the edge of the universe, you were dead. I think maybe
yeah,
it was so good.
Look on GOG. Is it GOG.com? They have a lot of old games which is where I get Magic Carpet, where they've actually like reprogrammed them for modern systems, which is where I play Magic Carpet.
I grabbed Sim Ant off of there recently. I was watching something else and I was like, this is reminding me of Sim Ant, and I want to play Sim Ant.
Yeah,
it sucks to play on your. Yeah, it's not fun to play. I tried to put it on a smaller computer, a crappier computer, and I'm just like, I guess I'm gonna have to put it on my desktop. But my desktop is for like serious artwork stuff.
Oh yeah, I don't put games on like this computer or my tablet, because if I do, you will never see me again. I will start playing and then I'll never get another book done.
It's a problem.
It
is.
I do play games on this sometimes, but yeah, that's like how how long we've had computers and stuff. But I had the internet back when it sort of like was the robot sound dial-up thing, and yeah, I kind of missed the sound, but it was.
I do too.
I think it's still going as well. There was a website called wetcanvas.com, and it was like a forum-based thing. Back before social media, it was the forums, and all these artists would like share work in progresses of the stuff that they were working on. And I learned so much from Wet Canvas. I think it's a lot of the things, the way that I can draw now, I think it comes from actually seeing people drawing on there. I think it still kind of works, but I had a bit of a problem when I logged into it a few years later, and because it's a forum, it saves all of the like it kind of goes through all of the unread messages and stuff, and it saves. It was like it actually lagged my computer trying to work it out, and it was something like
Yikes.
12 million unread messages or something. But
that must have been fun.
As if I read messages. I don't even read all my emails.
Oh no, it drives my wife nuts. I have thousands of unread emails.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, I hate the little red dot on my phone, because then it makes me forget that I think that I'm forgetting something. And so I clear those out immediately. Even if I don't do anything about them, I have to like put the message, I have to like open it so that it doesn't have the red dot anymore. And if I ever happen, like if Jeff is showing me something on his phone and then he goes back to his home screen, there's just red dots everywhere. It's like the phone has the measles, and I hate looking at his phone.
Doesn't bug me in the slightest. Drives my wife up the wall.
Yeah, I have 8 million messages in my inboxes, but the red dot is not on my app. Like, it's not there.
I just mark them as red. I don't even look at them.
I don't really look at them. I just open it up and be like, okay, there, I dealt with it, and then back out of it and never look at it again.
I have many
and that's never
emails.
Got me in trouble at all. No.
I have many emails from young women who would be very disappointed if they found out I wasn't a man.
No.
There are hot singles in your area. It's like, very much doubt it. I have seen the dating pool around here, and it's not pretty.
I just looked at my spam folder yesterday, and first off, Jeffrey was like, "What the fuck are you looking at your spam folder for? Why?" And I was like,
I like
every
seeing
now
what
and then.
is
Okay,
in it.
first of all, I'm glad that I did it because I was wondering why the hell I signed up for Fish's email or your mailing list newsletter thinger, and I was like, I have not gotten a single damn thing from that. Why the hell not? Surely he sent something by now. And went in there, and then I was like, finally figured out that it was going to the spam folder, so I marked it not spam.
Yeah, my UHS Studios stuff started going into there all of a sudden too, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
I noticed that Google Gmail likes to, if it's like got stuff that you aren't interested in, so you just click it and throw it away immediately, it'll assume that you don't want anything from that sender and start sending it to the trash after enough times. It'll start sending it to spam. So you gotta at least open it up and then throw it away.
Yeah.
If you don't want that to happen, because it will eventually, the AI, the algorithm will start going, well, you always click these and throw them away, so you must not want them anymore. And then start.
Well, especially when some campaigns send an update every single day forever. Like, yeah, I quit reading those after a while, especially when the campaign's done and I'm still getting updates every week. No.
I'm still getting them from Vampire the Masquerade. I got some sort of thing, like an art book, which I would have loved to get the physical one because it was absolutely amazing. Not Vampire the Masquerade, it was Vampire Hunter D, that was what it was. And yeah, I'm still getting emails from them. It's like, dude, this is about a year after the campaign, and you're still emailing me.
Yeah, it's. But that one, I wouldn't have been like a situation like that. I wouldn't have felt bad if Google would have been like, oh, you must not want these, and chuck them into the spam. But with, like, for example, I've never even gotten a newsletter from Fish from your newsletters, so what the hell? I signed up for it, and then I accepted it and everything, and like and I got the original, hey, you signed up email, and then nothing after that. And then
admittedly, I don't send a lot, which is one thing that I use as a pitch when we're at cons. I was like, you can get 2 free comics for a newsletter I hardly ever send out. That's a hell of a deal.
Fair. And yeah, so I did notice that the algorithm will just start tagging stuff as spam for you, thinking that you don't want to ever have it in there. So you'll have to manually tell it, hey, no, I want this in my inbox. I just don't necessarily want to read it unless it pertains to me, because a lot of them don't. Like Kickstarter, you get 8,000 emails a day. If you've backed more than 1 or 2 campaigns, you're going to get emails all the time. And you only want the ones that say, like, Unlikely Hero Studios, for example. Like, I don't care about this one that I backed 6 years ago for a frying pan with a sword handle. I want just the ones for the comic books. So, you gotta, but that means all of the Kickstarter ones have to come to me, and but yeah, Google's not. I'm not sure I'm okay. I'm not sure I like that feature that they have there, that it'll throw stuff away automatically if you discard enough.
I have tried to ban updates from one Kickstarter from Marcel Dupree, and he sends so many freaking updates on this thing. The campaign was over years ago, took years to get the book, and it's been done for a couple of years, and I still get an update like every week from him, and I'm so frustrated about it. I have contacted him repeatedly, and at a few different points he's been like, okay, I'll quit sending updates to that one as long as you will publicly admit that I'm a good businessman and I'm not being crooked with the stuff I do. And I was like, dude, quit sending me updates. He's like, just say that I'm awesome. And I'm like, I can't do that because honestly, I think you're a crook. And then he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna keep sending you updates. And
that would get done for GDPR in the UK. I don't know if you have it in America, but it's like, it's the GDPR rule where you have. It's a giant pain in the ass if you're doing stuff like with people's contact info and stuff. Like you have to basically give them the option to unsubscribe, otherwise you're breaking the law. Basically, it's like, you've got to have the option for them to just forget everything they know about you, because it's some sort of privacy law thing.
Yeah, technically, we have that here, but nobody like they
And that's
can't
the
really
thing.
enforce it
I
because
have-
otherwise the politicians can't send their political emails and texts and stuff. So then so they won't ever enforce it over here.
I have unsubscribed from that campaign on Kickstarter, but I keep getting emails through Kickstarter for that campaign, and I don't know how he's doing it, because I've done it on a lot of other campaigns that just sent out way too many updates, and I might have only backed that campaign for $5 to be supportive and never got a book. So I would unsubscribe and quit getting their updates. I can't get rid of his for no matter what I do, and I think he's doing
or it's
something.
one that you get it and then you find it's bad.
Yeah, and I never would have even backed it if I'd known he was on it, because I had backed some other books where he completely screwed the creative team, and I ended up giving out. Oh yeah, I ended up giving out digital copies to some people because he had done this book, and I followed the artist, and the artist is great, and I was so excited to get the book, and I got my digital copy, and then basically he was like, after he had the money for like 6-8 months and had already spent it all, he's like, yeah, we don't have money to produce the books or print or ship them, so tough, backing isn't buying, and tough stuff. Cut off all communication with the artist, and the artists couldn't get their stuff back because he owns it, so they can't even take it and publish it themselves and get it out to people or anything. And
that's awful.
Wait, and this is all that same guy?
Yeah.
Oh
and they were
God.
coming after the artist, attacking him, saying, man, I backed this because of you. Why ain't I getting my books? So I came into his defense, and I was like, look, I got the digital copy. I don't know why. I don't know why he sent it to me. But I was like, I will give anybody that wants it the digital copy. I will send you a copy so you can read the book at least. And he's not a good dude. Not a good dude.
I thought I recognized that
pretty
name, and I
bad.
couldn't remember why. And I was like, I'm gonna have to ask someone. But yeah, that's it rang a negative kind of my brain was like, bad name. Not sure, but bad name. So good to see that my brain kind of works a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the wings look a bit better now. I've smudged them around a bit. Smoosh it around. I love the look
I
of my
wish I
tool.
could do that, Katie. You don't understand how freaking cool it is that you can just do blobs of colors, smush them around. Look, it's a bird. I am super fucking jealous of your ability to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way I learned, though, because that's what makes it so difficult for me to actually do line drawings, because this is how I learned to draw. So it's all about blocks
And I
of
learned to
colour
draw
and
by
shadings.
looking at coloring books, which is why I am very comfortable with line art, and I suck at this stuff.
First thing I learned to copy well was a coloring book drawing of Smurfette that ended up being used on all kinds of things, like the commemorative glasses from Hardee's and all kinds of things. And so it was the image you saw of her more than anything else on products. And I learned to draw that. I learned to copy the line weights and stuff. I didn't know why, but I learned to copy it, and made me quite popular, in first grade or whatever. And
I used to do Pokemon, draw Pokemon for the kids, but my this is when I was a kid. My teacher was like, "You can't do that; it's copyright abuse." And I'm like, I don't really think they're gonna care. They're
Really copyright abuse if you try and make money off of it, isn't it? If you try,
I was
that's
I
what
was
makes it
swapping them
copyright
for
abuse.
I was swapping them for Pokemon cards. So
Oh,
it's
yeah, but that's not the same. This is little
No.
kid. Come
I
on,
was,
teacher.
I was 12. You couldn't have even prosecuted me anyway because I was a kid. So, but yeah, it was one of the kids.
Not wrong of her
basically
to try and
snitched on
teach
me.
you not to break the law, but
Yeah, well, it's one of the kids that
that
snitched
was
on me,
that was a
so.
stretch, though. That's a stretch.
So it's I'm 12. They're really a multi-million-dollar company is not going to make any they're not going to care that a 12-year-old is making a few pounds.
Yeah, it's a guarantee.
they're not
going to
want to make kids stop drawing pictures of Pokemon. That
No.
they would never want to do that.
No, and it's kids are their number one purchasers. So, but yeah, I mean, it was just they were just silly little, drawings, and I had to laugh because there was this one kid who used to watch. I think his parents ran like the local framing store or something. So he was always like watching the stuff that I was drawing and things. And he was like, it's like I was drawing a dragon, and he's like, "You're copying Charizard," and I was like, "Dragons existed before Charizard."
Wow.
Oh
Yeah.
God, you're just copying what? Oh, that drives me up the wall. You can't have an original thought, and I mean, even the people that made the things that we love, they copied off of other things. They were inspired by other things. You know, everybody has been inspired by Star Wars ever since, and Star Wars was inspired by Flash Gordon, which was inspired by Buck Rogers, which was inspired by John Carter of Mars, and on. Like, it's always happened.
I did laugh though when I saw is it on Goodreads or something, which is the book site and stuff, and someone was accusing Jill Murphy of copying the Harry Potter books. It's like, pretty sure The Worst Witch predates Harry Potter by a long time. It was like the 1970s or something it came out. It was like...
I don't remember if it was Goodreads, but I liked the one where I saw it was clearly one of those nice guy TM people, but he was like, I wrote a story that was basically Frankenstein, and when I was a kid, and because I did never read the actual book Frankenstein, that means it was an original idea, and I came up with it on my own, and that I don't know why your story's reminding me of this now that I'm thinking about it, but
it's funny though, because when I was a teenager, I was writing a book about unicorns. I mean, obviously, because I was a teenage girl, but I wrote quite a lot of this, and I found it the other day, and someone was reading it, and it's like, have you read the Firebringer trilogy? And I'm like, never even heard of it. What is it? So I went and read it, and I was like, God damn it, this is exactly the same story as what I'm writing.
That pisses me off so bad when I come up with something really good, and then I'm like, oh fuck, somebody else came up with it first.
Since middle school, every time I came up with a cool idea for a superhero and costume and backstory and name and all of that stuff, within 6 months or so, or a year tops, I would end up seeing that exact same character on a newsstand somewhere as some new indie book. And it pissed me off to the point, like, I started being convinced by like high school that somebody was spying on me, because it just happened so often. Now I realize, like, we were all inspired by the same things, but sometimes, like, it was so eerily similar that either we were both complete hacks and ripoffs, which is probably the more likely answer, but it felt like somebody was being paid to spy on me in my inner circle. And, it was so frustrating.
I remember a conversation with Zach that I had, so it must have been 2016-ish. He was mad because he'd written this whole storyline for Super, which, spoiler alert, I don't really know that much about anything beyond what he'd actually fleshed out. But he said he wrote this whole thing out, and that he was mad because when we got to it, which unfortunately we never were able to get to it, but when we did, people were going to accuse him of having ripped off Donald Trump and everything about the 2016 election. And he's like, no, that's just how fucking fucked up Donald Trump is, because he's literally a comic book character that this guy that I conceived was years ago, and it's just insane that he is doing so much stuff that that
seems like things a comic book villain would do. Yeah,
we all know that the
crazy.
Simpsons controlled what Donald Trump did.
That's the Simpsons.
Everything the Simpsons did.
Oracle.
Yeah.
They should just rename it the Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
I know, everything that they kind of predicted for so many things turned out to be true as well. It's like, is the Simpsons secretly influencing
it's a little
society?
Freaky.
Mm.
It's a little creepy.
Yeah, it has been the frustrating bane of my existence. Like, when I decided, okay, I'm going to stop and I'm going to tell my own story, which one am I going to do? Because I've got a million of them. I've got my passion project story that I've been working on for over 20 years that has literally has 20 years of complicated overlapping time travel lore in it that I would love to be doing right now. But I was like, I need to build an audience for that story first because it deserves to get read by more than 20 people. No offense to my loyal fans, but it deserves to be read by a bigger audience than that. And B, so many things came out within like the 5 years of that time that I worked on Green Zone that I was like, even though I designed this stuff 20 years ago, if I put it out right now, people are going to say, oh, this is just a knockoff of. So I was like, okay, for those two reasons, I'm going to give it some time and come back to it in a few years. And so maybe it doesn't feel as much like, because, too many stories came out with kids with white hair and magical powers right at that time. And so I didn't want to do that, even though that was, the only real
Put your ass in my face.
similarity.
I think there tends to be like a common theme of things that people seem to get inspired by, and it's amazing how many times that you'll see things that, especially like in fan fiction. I am on the wrong layer again. Especially in fan
Pocket and
fiction.
chewing gum.
Oh no, I do this when I'm not even like on stream. Yeah, like they'll be like, "Oh, this person is." It's like the Mary Sue thing. It's like, "Oh, this person's so cool because they do this, this, and this," and it'll be exactly the same as somebody else's thing. But because it's like you don't seem to realize, especially when you're younger, that it's like seems to be this common thing that people think about. Like I'm trying to think of an example. Well, like my unicorn story, it's like it was pretty much exactly the same. I just stopped writing it, but you see, the story that I've got like that I sent a bit more to Sarah and Laurie about is, I think, a bit more unique, I think, than the unicorn one. But that's because I've been sort of heavily influenced by. Did you ever read the Earth Children series or heard of it by Gene M. Old, like the Clan of Cave Bear? They made a Yeah. I loved those books when I was a kid, and I'm quite interested in sort of like paleontology, the Neolithic, that sort of things, Ice Age time period, and that's quite heavily influenced some of the stuff in my book. But I think that's something that hasn't really caught a lot of buzz in more recent years. It's like dystopian future sort of thing, or like there was a time when vampires and zombies and werewolves, they all seem to go through a bit of a phase in a way.
Like there was a time I absolutely would never have done Caw because he could too easily be said like, oh well, let's just knock off a Hawkman or Conan or whatever, and or Blue Falcon or whatever.
They did seem to be like a time period, like the 80s especially, where it was like barbarians quite a lot. Like Red Sonja.
Oh, absolutely. Conan and Thundar and He-Man and, I mean, just over and over and over. Mitor. So many cool barbarian characters. And
with Thundercats kind of count as
sort of.
barbarians?
I mean, they tend to be a little more regal, a little more organized and technologically advanced than you tend to think of a barbarian, but they kind of do also fit in that kind of mold, mighty warriors and whatnot. But so like all those similarities years ago, and like no, I'm not doing that. I'm not having somebody say it's a ripoff of XYZ. And since then, I have met so many people making so many cool, fun books that are absolutely an homage to Space Ghost or Batman or whatever. Like, it's so clear that this book is an homage to this character that they don't have the rights to. And they are just having so much fun, making really fun books, having a fun time telling their story. And I'm like, I like to have fun. But I wouldn't have done it because I felt like I was breaking some rule of cool, and I can't be called a poser, so I ain't gonna do it. And and now I'm just like, screw it, I'm gonna have fun. It's like sitting on the wall at the dance and not being willing to dance because no, I'm not everybody say I'm gay. I'm not gonna get out there dance. Screw it, call me gay. I'm gonna get there and have fun. I'm gonna have a ball. I'm gonna shake my big fat ass and have a big dandy time. And nothing's gonna stop me from having fun at this point. So like, yeah, let's do call. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, and when it comes to stories, like every story is, you're gonna, even if it's an obscure story, maybe it never even got published, or it got published so long
You'll
ago
find
that,
something
that
somewhere.
it's in public domain, even, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you're always going to write a story that's going to have a lot of crossover with somebody else's story. As long as it's not a word-for-word deliberate ripoff, and you put your own flair and your own love into it, then fuck it, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing if I can. I think I had the wrong layer selected. I want to make him slightly bigger, but
The wrong layer? No.
Well, what I think
believe
was that the layer was locked actually, because it wasn't it wasn't sort of making her.
How many times have
her
you ever been
eyes
like, what the fuck is going on? And it's the whole time it's because the fucking layer's locked. Oh my god, that happens to me way more often than I'd like to admit.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been there. Usually with me it's the wrong layer, because, you know.
That too.
Yeah. Good times.
Really? There we go. I don't think it's very happy with me, this computer at the moment. I probably should have restarted it before I started my stream, but yeah, I'm liking how this is starting to look now. Especially, I think it looks bigger. It's made him get a bit more presence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna check.
Yeah, it's absolutely coming out so cool.
It looks like you're making another variant cover. Where
Mm-hmm.
it looks. It's like it's all framed up like there's like it's supposed to. And look at that, even the top is even clear for the logo. Like it looks like you're making a cover.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can use it for a cover if you want, Fish, but I need to finish it first. So.
Well, that's true. Like it needs to get to that point, but then like I would have called it done a long time ago, and then it just keeps looking cooler and cooler. And
yeah, I mean,
but that's the way we do.
I think that's a thing with what people don't seem to realize when they're learning to draw as well, is that, you know, like what you think of as finished when you're first starting out is not what you think of as finished when you've been working on it for ages. Oh dear, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, please, yeah. I don't know if you saw the black screen then. But... yeah, this happened. Hang on a minute. Is the time lapse switched on? Because that actually, no, it isn't. Oh well. Yeah, that was happening a lot when I was working on the stuff for the Sundering, because I was trying to record a time lapse, and as soon as I hit save, everything just went black for about 3 minutes. I was like,
oh my god.
Yeah, this isn't good. I need to make the file size smaller. This is probably quite a big file size because of the layers and everything. And I'm running the StreamYard as well. So...
I had to upgrade my computer because every time I'd bring in a 3D object at the end, like the whole screen would go black for like 5 minutes, and maybe it would come back or maybe it wouldn't. And if it came back, it worked fine after that. But if it didn't, then the whole computer crashed and we had to start over. And I was like,
that sounds horrifying.
I can't keep doing this. I got to make money. We're getting a new computer.
Yeah, this is just. I mean, this laptop has got like 12 gig of RAM, but I still think sometimes it struggles a bit with some of the clip files. But it's an old laptop and it's got far too much stuff on it as well. So, but yeah, I'm really enjoying working on this one. I've been sort of challenging myself to do stuff that would make good comic covers, because as much as I like doing the inside of comics, I think like the thing I like doing best is the covers. So
you got to steer into what you enjoy and, you know, what you can do in a timely fashion and stuff. Like I would love to hand paint all the interiors to I've always been amazed at the people that paint their books, and I've always wanted to do it, but like the scale I would have to paint them at to be comfortable with the final product and the amount of time that would take, like I just can't affordably put a book out like that. As much, what's up, J-Man?
Hey, J-Man.
As much as I would like to. And so, you know, I do it in the style I do it in, and I get them done quickly. But I would love to paint them, but I can't. It would take too long.
I think there's a lot more scope for like just more detail, more sort of lighting and stuff in the actual covers as well. Like I'm actually kind of pleased with. I'm glad that I decided to do the silhouettes at the front. I think they look cool, and the ones going up from behind as well. That's giving it a bit more sort of grounding, really. But
I would love to see Katy, I would love to see you do more covers, like not just Caw or not just one of our things, but like we need to get more covers by you done so that other people see it and they're like, who did this? It's amazing. I want to commission them to do a cover for mine, and because I know it'll happen. It's just a matter of you don't have enough exposure.
No, I mean
people will absolutely. I mean, people will absolutely want your stuff on their covers.
My only suggestion on it would be maybe add another inch or two of sky just to be safe, so that we know it hits the right proportions. And you can cut sky off easily. I don't want to end up cutting off Home Dude's face over there on the left to make it fit in a comic book proportion.
Yeah, I can easily do that. I mean, one of the things I could just do is like at some point that's not on the stream, just like find whatever size comic that you print out, just like make that as an actual file.
I have a template for you that I'll just send you.
A template, yeah, that'd do. That's
that's what you need.
I set up custom page templates and like save them in Clip Studio when I open a new file, and I've got it saved with like the trim line and the safe zone and all that stuff already put on it, so that it pulls up and it's like, this is the page for Kablam, this is their trim line, this is their safety zone. And then I know, like, okay, if I keep it in here, it's going to be seen, and I need to go bleed trim past here. And then I know my file's the right size to output. I don't have to resize or trim anything or end up cutting off something cool because I drew it at slightly the wrong proportions.
Yeah,
and
that's
saves so much time.
I did start doing them with Laurie. When Laurie started asking me to do stuff, she gave me like the pixel dimensions of the page, which helped quite a bit. But because I kind of like have been dragging this, I don't know what pixels it is. I've just been dragging it until it looks right. So
yeah, she told me Laurie told me pixels on something the other day too, and I was like, I don't know what that means. Like, I've been a graphic designer. I've been a professional freaking graphic designer for like 15 years, and I have never heard anybody tell me how many pixels to make something.
So many people do it by pixels too. Like artists that I follow are like, yeah, we're going to do this one at 6,000 by 4,000. And I'm like, why don't we just do
6,000 by
inches?
4,000 I get, but if you're going to tell me that you want 10,000 pixels, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least pixels is like, it's a thing that I can set up a document and use pixels as a measurement. It's a stupid measurement, but at least it's a measurement. But you can't say like make it 1,000 pixels, and I was like, I don't know what that means. I don't.
The only benefit to it really for me is that it keeps everything, it's universal, kind of like the metric system. Like, I don't want to have to figure out millimeters, but it's not going to change, and millimeters are always going to be the same. Whereas if I make it a 5-inch wide drawing, there's a big difference between being at 150 DPI or 1200 DPI.
Yeah.
And if I make it so many pixels, it's so many pixels, period. And the resolution is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, J-Man, what movies did you get? Because how the hell are you spending $111 on 3 movies? I need to know what the movies are.
J-Man be on the exotic hunt for old films and things, and like finishing off those jewels of his collection.
Yeah, clearly
he flat spends money on it, like
that's
comic collectors
do. These must be good movies, because
action figure collectors and
obscure ones that you can't get a hold of anymore. Yeah, like, it's got to be those if you're spending that much money. And if you are, then like tell us anyway so that I can be jealous, because if I've heard of it and I want that movie but I don't have it.
There's certainly some movies that he sends me. He's like, oh man, I've been thinking about that line from that movie for 6 years, and I couldn't remember what the name of the movie was. And he's like, oh yeah, this is it. And I was like, dude, oh okay, now I can go find it and watch it on YouTube or whatever.
Right.
Oh, there's so many things now. Like, trying to find stuff to watch while I'm working is really tough, because it can't be so engaging that I take my eyes off my work and I'm watching TV, but it needs to be engaging enough that I can listen to it and enjoy it and have fun. And
that's why watching stuff that you've already watched is so
that's nice.
important.
Like
audiobooks are the best. That's what I tend to put on.
That's true. Audiobooks would be good too, yeah.
Especially like something like The Wheel of Time. The Wheel of Time is 15 audiobooks, and they're all like 40 hours long. It's like it's
that's
great
a hell of a commitment, Katy.
Yeah, but because it
that's
takes
not
me
even
so
a week
long,
for me.
Yeah, because it takes me so long to actually do my traditional paintings. Then, like, I'll get like through a fair few of the books before I finish the traditional painting.
Alright, that's fair.
I took to listening to audiobooks, and like some of them I really enjoyed, like Frankenstein and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Like I enjoyed those, but then some of them, like if it's too complex, you got to pay too much attention. I miss too much while I'm drawing, like because I'm only half paying attention to it.
Right.
But like I turned on, it wasn't Bosom Buddies, but Perfect Strangers, the old 80s sitcom. You know, I freaking loved that, listening to that. Thundercats, I thoroughly enjoyed because, you know, it's fun, but nothing amazing detailed is happening. You don't need to see the secret look on Snarf's face to know that he's a bad guy. Like, no, it's all clearly spelled out in the dialogue. And I could listen to it and glance up from time to time and enjoy it. But then I try and find like other old shows I love, and then they're not on streaming and they want you to pay for it somewhere. And I'm like, I wish I was a J-Man with a big collection of all these series on DVD.
Right.
See, I'm on Audible, which, you know, it has its faults, but at the same time, it's all in one place, and you get deals because it's you know, it's the same price for like the credit every month, and then the credit gets you a free book, regardless of how much the book usually is, which is great because some of these audiobooks are like 40-50 quid, and it's like I can't afford that. So, but the ones I like listening to on there are the Terry Pratchett audiobooks because I've listened to them so many times, I know what's happening. So, and they're not like super complicated as well. I mean, you do miss bits, but I find that I just like going back to them all the time. So, and also they're very funny. So,
yeah,
like
I gotta get. I've been not reading Terry Pratchett, even though I want to so badly, because I'm being very stupid about it. Because like I could go to the library and get the book, right?
You can get the audiobooks from the library too.
I want my own copy of it, and I want to be able to, because I want to not have the pressure of accidentally destroying a book that doesn't belong to me. It's a lot of pressure. That's why I hate, literally the only reason I hate library books, because I will screw up and dump something on it, or I'll drop it in something bad. You know, like I'm terrible, and I accept this about myself, but that's why I need to own the things that I'm potentially.
I was going to say, other than losing them, I don't think I've ever torn up a library book before.
I've never intentionally damaged a library book, but unintentionally.
Yeah, I mean, you can quite often find them in charity shops because he was like, well, in the UK you can. I don't know how popular he was in the America, but he sold millions of books. So
he's very much not popular in my area of the world because I absolutely would have read him as a kid. Yeah. I read the Stephen King books, every single one of them, as a kid. I caught like up until whatever year I was like 22 or 23 years old, and that's when I stopped reading Stephen King's books. And I assume he's got more out. But like, if I read Stephen King, I would have absolutely read Terry Pratchett. So he's not as popular here as he is there, obviously. So I know.
I'll have to remedy that.
And
I never cared for Stephen King.
Like, some of them are good, but some of them are like...
It always felt really to me weird. Like... But even as a kid, when I would read them, you know, because they were really popular when I was a kid, and they had just done like the TV movie version of it and stuff, and Christine had come out at the movies, and so like everybody was reading them, and so I tried reading them, and it just, to me, always felt like he would be writing a really awesome story and then write himself into a corner and be like, you know, the scary demon clown, he's a giant bug, and they're gonna shoot a earring into his chest with a slingshot. Okay, yeah, he's dead. Okay, let's go. We're done. And, you know, book over.
Read the book, Did you read the book version?
Yeah. And
because that's got like this weird adolescent sex thing in it too, which seems like, even when I was reading it as a kid myself, was like, this doesn't seem appropriate.
I probably overlooked it because, like, I've tried to show my kids so many 80s movies that I loved growing up and did not realize how much like boobs and rape and stuff were in these movies. And like, oh my God, I had no idea. And I watched them 100 times growing up and
It's a thing.
never occurred to
Yeah.
me. But yeah,
It's a thing. Yeah, it is definitely.
it's a terrible thing, man. It was just
Yeah.
rampant. And it's like, who said this was
Apparently,
okay?
we were cool with that in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just boys being boys, you know. Let's get them all liquored up and give them some Quaaludes. It'll be fine.
80s movies had the best soundtracks, though. Like,
Oh, yeah.
especially 80s fantasy movies with all the synthesizers. Like,
Don't
J-Man, I
you
think Matt will be absolutely
call the
thrilled
cops
to
on me.
sign that for you. Absolutely.
oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I bet Matt would do that.
Oh, for sure. He loves to do stuff like that. I have no doubt that he would love to do that.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I think
it's.
yeah.
I have to go because I had poor time management, poor planning. Really, I mean, I placed an order for groceries this morning because I don't go to the store anymore because fuck that. Placed an order and I was like, oh,
Don't walk
5 to
around the
6
grocery
p.m.
store
That's a
with the peasants.
with the annoying people. It's really because I've never gone to the grocery store and not wanted to run somebody over with my cart at least once. So I have to. But anyway, yeah, so I placed the order and it was like pickup time. Oh, 4 o'clock or the time that I usually like, it's not available. And then it said 5 to 6 o'clock. And I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. Click. And then I was like, shit.
You have a
You
stream
gotta
to-
hustle.
Katy. Hey Katy, are you planning on are you gonna stream today? I can only stay for a little while, and then I was like, we'll make sure to be off by 5, and then look at me, it's 5:30 now, and we did not do that.
Oh yeah,
Well,
I
I
gotta
thought
eat
I-
something before I gotta be
yeah.
on another show tonight with Mike on Chat and Draw.
Oh,
I
fun.
thought I should really kind of do it this week because I didn't do it last week because
Yeah, but
I
last
had
week you
a
had
wisdom
a
tooth removed
swollen
and a root
face.
canal. Yeah.
No judgment there.
I took
No.
off 2 shows, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I came on yours.
Then you had to take another
And
one.
I regretted it afterwards. I was like,
Oh,
oh, this is
no.
fine. I'm doing good. And then afterwards, I was like, oh my God, that hurts. And my face swelled up. And
Oh, that's
yeah.
not so
I
good.
overdid
I've been
it.
pretty lucky with this one, but yeah, I think it's because my face still wasn't responding because of the like most of my face because it numbed me so much with the local anesthetic. I just sounded like I was really slurred. I'm like, no, I'm not doing a stream today. So. But anyway, yes,
bad.
I think we should let Sarah go. So.
Yeah, we.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, we've literally done an hour and a half already, so
Yeah.
that's fine too.
That's possibly
And
one
I
of the
think
shortest one
Jeffrey's
I've done.
going somewhere with his nerd friends tonight, so he probably wants supper early too. And
Yeah.
I make supper.
Yeah.
That's our arrangement.
Hey, it's a good sounding deal to me. I could use some supper right about now. I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'm thinking chicken bacon ranch sliders. How's that sound? Good.
I have not been able to quit thinking about pork chops and hash brown casserole since you talked about that on the show. It has been
Alright.
stuck in my brain, and I'm craving it so bad. I'm going to end up having to make it one of these days soon.
It is-
My wife's only had like 3 meals from me because my ADD brain just likes to make the same thing over and over and eat that because it's easy and it's quick and it doesn't take a lot of work.
Mhm.
But the kids got real tired of that, and they're not an old man that doesn't care to eat the same thing every day. And so, anyway,
Well,
we're gonna keep
tell them to
talking.
learn how to cook.
I'm shutting up so we
Yeah.
can get off here.
Yeah, let's go. Everybody, thank you, J-Man, for coming in and commenting. I wish we could get you in here earlier, but your stupid job. This Twitter job. You don't
Well, thanks
need
everyone
it.
for watching as well, and thank you, Fish, for coming on the stream again.
Absolutely, anytime. Happy
Yeah,
to hang out.
And the claw's looking great, so we'll be excited to see the finished product here, whether or not we see it finished on what Katy draws.
Yeah.
And if you haven't backed it, go check it out. When we hit $3,000, I'm going to be releasing the source book for Kaw, talking all about his backstory and how he got his name and his world. His backstory literally made me cry. And if we get to 4 before the end of the campaign, I'm going to add on for the pre-order of the next issue, which will be out in a month.
Mr. Fish likes to be mean to his characters. We know this.
I
Everyone
do.
likes to be mean to their
So,
own.
Life's
yeah.
rough.
go back that, and while you're at it, go back Lucifer Licorice at uhstudios.com/kick
Absolutely.
it too,
Yeah.
because that one's fun too, and it's all ages, and it's a little cuter. Not so dark as Caw, but
Probably
they're
a
both-
little less disembowelment, I would imagine.
They're both relatively
Just a little bit.
all ages friendly-ish. I mean,
Yeah,
Caw's
mine's more
mostly-
PG-13. Like they're
Caw's mostly, but maybe
It's
don't show
violent.
the little ones.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I'll let you guys judge for yourselves whether or not it's all ages.
Why is his head backwards, Daddy? Yeah, it's-
Jesus Christ. Well, we can't top that, so we're going now for sure. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.